Why, hello there, my fellow miners. Rodamon here. Thank you for tuning in to Dwarf Fortress. Episode 2, There's Always Time to Mine and Dine. Alright, there we go. There's the carpenter's workshop going, and then the stoneworker's workshop. And one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to build a micro office for Scorpio, our leader. So in the stoneworker's office, I'm going to make a throne, which is like a chair, out of shale. And then I'm going to make a table out of shale. And that will allow me to make a micro office so that he can start to do his accounting and stockpiling and the like. And more people are getting happier. There's one person that's neutral, but most people are a little chipper, which is great. I like chipper. And it seems like a lot of my mining tasks, my initial mining tasks, are going to be done soon, which is great. So, my talented miner is going to be required to only mine, but my other people will be able to do other things. My woodworker also I'm going to unlock because I think they cut down all the trees that I had designated. Because they were... Except for what's across the river. To that end, let's build a bridge out of willow. So that we can access the other side of the river if we want to. Okay, I already have the throne, working on the table. Perfect. Let's place it down. So furniture, table, here. Oh, I haven't stockpiled it yet. Okay, let's redo the zoning again. Allowing this entire area to be as stockpile. And then furniture. Come on, guys, move it. I'm waiting for them to put the throne and the table down in the stockpile rather than being stocked at the stoneworker so that I can actually place it. Do the thing. Stop playing with your yams. That sounds dirty. Look at them. Just like crapping out a whole host of random plants. Yeah. You will collect a lot of stuff fast. There we go. So that's the table. And the throne. Nope, still don't have access to the throne yet. Replacement. There we go. Ooh, I'm actually going to modify and shrink this here and build a wall out of shale. And then the stoneworker, I'm going to make 2 doors. Both out of shale. So that we can just wall up from the outside. It's not secure by any means, but it's makeshift and will work in a pinch. Okay. Office. Oops. Office. Right there. Except Scorp's office. Assign it to our expedition leader, Scorpio. And then, as a result of having an office, I will have access to work orders. So, first, work order. Carpenter workshop, make a bed. Make a bed out of willow. Make beds if we have less than, let's say, 5. So I'll keep a stockpile of 5 beds. And if willow logs are greater than 10. So if So the way this works is we'll make one bed if the conditions are met, which is that we have less than 5 and our logs are greater than 10. So it's repeat until we have 5. Well, let's make it 3 beds. It will be repeated until we have 3 beds in stockpile. Perfect. All right, some other work orders. Let's go back to the work orders. And I'll be adding a lot of work orders as time goes on. Another one we want is doors. Let's make sure to have a stockpile of doors. So make 1 door out of shale. If shale doors are less than 5 and shale is greater than 10. Let's do tables and thrones. So shale thrones, if less than 5 and greater than 10, and is less than 5 and greater than 10. That way we have a stockpile of doors, tables, and chairs, as well as beds. I don't yet have a craft station, so I'm not going to worry about the crafts yet. But there's a lot of other work orders to put in. Food and brewing, and it goes on and on and on. God, look at all these plants. Holy hell. Alright. Scorpio is sitting here, and as a result, he just took stock. So look at our stocks up top. We have an actual exact count of our food stocks. It's not just like an estimate. We have a pretty decent count of our wealth as well. Now that we've hauled in a whole lot more food. Oh, look at that. It's perfect. All of what should be brewed is brewed. All that should be cooked is cooked. Awesome. All right. Now that we have a queue for beds, that's going to be really important. But what I want to do is, at the end of this, I'm going to make a stairwell down to a lower level. And this lower level is going to be... So if this is a tavern, I'm going to have a dining room. So I think the way I want to design this is... This is my, like, Alamo choke point. This blocking access to this would be ideal, so they can't get into my taverns and temples. But this is where my burrow is. This is going to be really, really important. So we're going to need to make sure... so this, like, 15 tiles is like the... Oh, crap, we're getting attacked. And it's going to be really important to keep this distance so that I have, like, wiggle room for time. Door... Okay, I haven't made my doors yet. Alright, Liara is making the stairwell. And we did just make a bed. So what I'm going to start to do is put beds in this hallway here as like a dorm. A makeshift dorm. It sucks, but like it's just how it's going to be. And the plan for this area here, down 1 level, is... well, let me back up a minute. So, of the zones we have, let's talk about them. An office is where someone that has duties works. So, in this case, we have Scorpio, and this is the indicator of requiring a study or an office. We have Scorpio taking a whole bunch of duties all at once, so we only really want 1 office. But that's what an office is. And generally an office has like a table and chair, and you know, it might have requirements of other things. Like if you're a militia commander at higher level, it might need like a weapon stand or an armor stand, so on and so forth. Meeting areas are sort of like a gathering point. And a tavern is a meeting area, a temple is a meeting area. Meeting areas are kind of like a big old blanket term for like, this is an area that has some sort of designation. So if you create a meeting area, We can also designate this as like a tavern, a temple, a library, a craft great hall. So there's a bunch of sub-meeting areas, if you will. Obviously, I'm not going to keep this one. But my point is, the meeting areas that are likely to attract foreigners are going to be outside taverns and temples. But the meeting areas for us, like our craft guild halls, are going to be inside because they're not going to attract foreigners. A craft guild hall is like if you have enough members who are proficient in mining, they might demand a mining hall. If you have enough members that are proficient in brewing, they might demand a brewing hall. Same with basically every trade. All right, back to the zoning, just to explain it a little bit more. Bedrooms are straightforward. They have a single bed. This generally, eventually you're going to want bedrooms for everybody, and they don't need to be complicated. They could be like a little 2x2 or a 1x3, and they'll have like a little bit of storage in a bed, a little bit of storage for like their personal goods, their clothing and the like. So, you know, their spare socks, basically. And a dorm is a shared area. Early game, obviously we're going to be dorming. Dorm life is going to be strong. Then you have a dining hall. Dining hall is where your citizens eat and drink. And my dining hall is going to be for my citizens, not the foreigners. So the tavern and the dining hall will be physically separated. My own people can drink and eat in the tavern hall. That's fine. But the dining hall is only going to be for us. Barracks is for your military. We'll get into that later. Pen and pasture I've already done on the surface. Archery range is where you would practice archery. And you've got pits and ponds, where you can dump things into the pit and ponds. It's not something I'm going to be doing early on. Garbage dump we've already set up. Water source. So let's set up a water source. So water source is basically us telling our dwarves where water can be found. So I'm going to set up this river water. That way, if I like run out of drinks, they're not like, oh, I don't know where to get water. Or if I get injured and I need to clean wounds and like clean rags and whatnot, this is where we get the water. There is also the fishing source, which we'll do later on, because I don't have a kitchen yet, so I don't want to be like stockpiling a whole bunch of fish with no kitchen. But that's where you would designate fishing. So you can have water sources from wells within your own fortress, and that's like a secure source of water is going to be really important for a hospital to run later on. You've got animal training if you want to train your animals, like warhounds and the like. You've got a dungeon. This is for justice and criminals. That is a feature much later on, because no one's... Essentially, really early game in Dwarf Fortress, bad things don't happen. Okay, generally it's like murders don't happen and things like that. That really only happens when your population is larger. So, for instance, one of the key features of Dwarf Fortress is... Strange Mood. Strange Mood is like a RimWorld inspiration where they're inspired to make something. Strange Moods don't even kick off until your population is 20. So really early game, there's like training wheels that are enabled, and the training wheels come off where you'll have like murders and mysteries and strange moods and all that stuff. Then there's a gather fruit zone. So that's a constantly collect fruit, gathering sand and clay from those zones. So that's all the zones. And the reason I went through that is, in designing my fortress, all of the public-facing zones are going to be outside of this hallway. And then all the private-facing zones will be behind it. And then eventually what I could do is engrave carving, like, arrow loops into this bridged area, so that if enemies are coming to us, we can, like, pull the drawbridge and, like, shoot anyone that is a problem. Or maybe even arrow loop directly around our, like, trade market. That way, if things get rowdy, we can use Dwarven crossbows to quell the threat rather than have to go in manually. So, below the stockroom, I think what I'm going to do is... Right below the stockroom, I'm going to want, like, a crafting district, if you will. But I also want a pretty hefty and hardy hallway. So I'll dig 15 back. Actually, if this is going to be a drawbridged area, I'm going to avoid that area specifically. So that if I want, like, some sort of pit below it, we can dig out a pit. So then I'll have the hallways, the hallways double back on itself like this. So here's what I'm thinking. I want my stocks close to the trade depot, And I want my traders to not have to travel very far. So it makes the most sense because of the availability of soils. We have soil only in the northwest corner of the map, right? We only have soil like around here. So if I have a farm, I'm going to want to farm... I'm going to want my kitchen and still to brew beer and alcohol, or cook food and brew alcohol, around the stairwell. So that when we harvest plump helmets, the plump helmets don't have to physically travel very far to the still for us to brew them. And then the seeds from the brewing process doesn't have to physically travel very far back to the farm. So right around this corner here, let me zoom out. Right around this corner is the only arable land that I have. Because that's just how the map generated. If you remember, where we generated... Oh my god, how do we even find ourselves? Where we generated... Oh, come on, zoom. Well, right here, it was only like a tiny swath of forest land. My point is, we're going to want to center the farm around there. And to back that up a little bit more, Dwarven crops are made to be grown underground. Yeah, I know it was the yellow square. I just couldn't zoom in to like show you the physical map tile, but it's right there. Cannot raid your own civilization. Yep, I know. So if this is the stairwell to the to our farm, what I'm going to want to do is to connect... Oh, I didn't dig this stairwell deep enough, did I? Down one more level. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to want to have a hallway connect to it like this. So this stairwell will go up to the farm. And the first building I want to build is, let me update the priority. Build a farm and a kitchen still. So we have this great hallway here. And when you're planning out a kitchen, there's a whole bunch of other things to plan for. So let's start putting in like our actual dining hall area. So I'm going to put in a dining hall. I'm going to try to get away from making super uniform shapes. So I'll have a dining hall shaped like this, let's say. And of this dining hall, there's a few other sub-facilities we want. So the dining hall should be close to a kitchen and a still. It should also be close to your food storage and a butcher and a fisher, and also, ideally, your farms. So if we continue this hallway here, this becomes one of the like thoroughfare hallways, and we can put other related industries nearby. So for instance, if we have a butchery near our kitchen, we're also going to want to probably tan leathers near it too, so that the leathers that are butchered from animals don't have to physically travel very far to where they become tanned. Let's do a 7x5 and a 7x5. So the 7x5s here are going to be a kitchen and a still. So I'll put the still here and the kitchen here, maybe. And let's do another hallway. So the idea for this zone here is this will be where raw food is. This area here. And then we have the still and the kitchen. And then just south of the kitchen, we can do a butchery and a fishery to process animals and to process fish. And that processed goods then goes to the raw food storage area. And what I'll do is I'll leave a lot of space east of this so the raw food storage can expand if we need to. And then the entryway to this dining hall can be these 3 points. And we'll lay out tables and thrones in there. So this is a little oversized. And for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove parts of the extended hallways because they're not necessary to have right at the start. You can make rooms as large as you want. There's not a risk of cave-ins. No. And just to restrict what my miners have to do, I'm only going to dig out a subsection of this, plus the farm. Okay, I've unpaused again. And let's center over here, and this will be the dining. So F3 is the dining area. And then once we have the farming area excavated, I can set that up as well. And there he is, or she is, Liara, mining away. Alright, another thing that would be good to do is to deconstruct our wagon made of walnut wood, and then taking all that wagon material and putting it into our stockpiles below. And at this point, I should probably have beds. I have one bed, cool. And doors. So that we can just restrict access to our base. Doors aren't going to stop enemies, but they will stop, like, random animals and the like. Oh. There was already some fighting. There's a turkey gobbler that is getting mangled by my dog. Good puppy. And then another thing to do is to have a dorm. This sucks because it's a hallway, but this is a place for them to sleep. Dwarves don't require a lot of sleep, a lot of food, a lot of ale. So they eat like, what? Like 4 meals a season and like drink 2 drinks or something like that. So it's not that hard to take care of them as long as you keep an eye on your stockpile. So we have the start of a dorm. And we are also putting doors in the entryway. And here you can see Liara excavating the hallways. Just move that opal. There's plenty of space. It's like, oh, there's an opal in my way. Just nudge it. You'll live. So we have a population of 7. 4 beds is probably enough for 7 people. And Liara is making good progress down here. Now, in order to speed this up as well, I can have the mason and the metal crafter also join us. So that we can excavate a little bit quicker. I think that's reasonable, so that we can get the farm going. And we're running into different types of stone. So we have jet, which is just a typical black stone. Jet black, in fact. And hematite, which is a type of iron. Type of iron precursor. So it's an ore of iron. There's... it's not like Minecraft. Tetrahydrite is copper and a little silver. Hematite. Magnetite. You know, these are iron making. So there's a bunch of like ores that you have to be processed in order to produce the metal, the associated metals. But having, you know, being in hematite layers, you know, not bad. We'll be able to get a bunch of metal from this excavation. Some rose quartz and quartz clusters, and then there's coal. Coal is something really very useful to find early on because it's obviously an important resource for metalworking. And here, as you can see, we've got Tal, the Fisher Dwarf, and the woodworker taking a quick nap. And because they sleep in shifts and they're not like scheduled sleep, it's pretty rare that that all 7 people in your initial colony will be asleep all at the same time. Now, if you wanted to prioritize certain projects over others, you can hit this arrow here. And if I go to stairwell and hit 3, which is a higher priority than 4, I can tell them to do the stairwell up to the farm before anything else. So this is a gypsum layer and a shell layer with magnetite and then fire clay. So I'm going to excavate... Actually, you know what? Let's make this smarter. I'm going to excavate a 7x7 around here, just below my farm, to store farming seeds. And then we will make a little 5x5 plump helmet farm here. And actually, let's do it in a way that I can expand upon it. I like the idea of like smaller plots. So something like that. So 2 different farms. Maybe pigtails and plump helmets initially. Good work. There's still a little bit of room left in the general stockpile. Okay. Now that they've excavated this, I'll go to a new stockpile. And this one is going to be custom. So I'm going to call this seed stockpile. I'm going to paint all around the stairwell. And hit accept. I do not want bins, barrels, or wheelbarrows for this stockpile. I don't want to store my seeds nested within a barrel so that they move around quicker. And in here, what I want to do is I want to put... for now, I'm going to put all seeds, even though a lot of the seeds that I'm going to be putting in here are going to be surface seeds that I won't be able to actually plant underground. So there's surface plants. So all the plants that we collected from the surface are not going to yield seeds that I'm going to be able to grow underground, but I'm going to put all the seeds in here anyway. So all seeds go into this stockpile here. And as a result of that, I'm going to go to my trader stockpile and go to food, go to seeds, and hit none. So now all the seeds are going to go from the temp stockpile to the seed stockpile. Wow, we really are at the corner of the world here. And then right above the seed stockpile, this will be the farm. So I'm going to hotkey it to F4. And we're starting to excavate the farm now. Okay. Now that we have one of these zones excavated, workshops, farming, farm plot, and put a farm plot there. So, where can you farm, you wonder? Deep, deep, deep underground, there's cavern soil, which is good soil to farm in, but it's not necessarily safe soil to farm in because, you know, caverns are inherently dangerous. You can farm on the surface, but only surface crops. So certain crops like plump helmets that I'm going to want to plant don't go on the surface. So of the seeds that we have here, let me even check. Seeds. Pigtails, dimple cups, plump helmets, cave wheat, and sweet pod seeds and rock nuts are the seeds that we brought with us, and they're going to be cave seeds. And then we have lettuce and garden cress, which is surface seeds. So we already have some surface seeds, but I'm not, for right now, I don't plan on a surface farm, so I'm not differentiating between the two. And then once this farm plot's done, we'll plant plant helmets there so that we can take our plant helmet spawn and start growing it. And this is just below the edge of the northern map, which is nuts. But you know, it's just the zone we picked. A unique constraint. So other areas that you can farm, wet stone, you can farm on as well. So I don't want to do that because it requires me to like build water locks and it requires more infrastructure than I currently have. But what you can do is you can intentionally get stone wet and muddy and then farm on the wet muddy stone. So you don't necessarily need a soil layer. It just makes it easier. So that there's not a delay as to setting up initial farms. Alright, so now that we've got the farm queued to be built, it's currently inactive, no one's working on it, but it will eventually be built. We can go back to the dining room. And it does look like my stockpile is getting kind of close to being full, which is fine. I mean, that was by design. Some new work orders. So now that we have the basic furniture hammered out, there's some other work orders that I would like to add to the bill. So I'm going to erase a corner here and build another temporary stock area of a crafts stock. I'll build this out of shale. So they're going to have to clear some ground here, but that's fine. And it occurs to me, we're already starting to get thrones and tables, so let's put some shale tables in our restaurant area. And then also the thrones. Despite being social drinkers, they sit alone. So that's why I have a chair per throne, or a chair per table. Come on. I didn't suspend that. Just move the strawberry plant. Alright. The Craft Dwarf's workshop can make things out of rocks. So one of the things that you're going to want pretty early on is rock mugs and rock jugs. Rock jugs and rock pots and actually rock mugs and rock pots more than anything else. So a rock pot is like a rock barrel. They're heavy, but they don't use wood. That's nice. And then the rock mugs are like drinking mugs. And dwarves want to drink with mugs. So we have that. I don't have like the proper work areas for these industries, obviously, not yet. But I built that just so that we can get some of the extra work orders done. So craft dwarf. We're all the way down to rock mugs. Now, when you make rock mugs, you make out of one piece of rock, you make 3 mugs, so you don't need a whole lot of it for it to work. And we'll make let's make jet mugs. So if mugs are less than 20 and the amount of jet is greater than 10, we'll make a jet mug. So we should have around 21 jet mugs once that's done. And then back in the craft dwarfs, let's make rock pots. And rock pots are going to be required for brewing. So I wanted to get the rock pots out of the way so that we actually had containers to brew. Because if you're trying to brew something at a still and you don't actually have a barrel or pot, well, that's not going to work. So we'll make jet pots as well, and I'll do this until we have 5 extra. So, jet pots and jet mugs. Once that's done, I'll also consider coffers, which are like Coffers are basically like wooden chests, but out of stone. But one thing we're going to want out of the carpenter here is bins. Because there isn't a, if I'm not mistaken, there isn't a stone equivalent. So, add a willow. When bins are less than, let's say, 10, and logs are greater than 10, we make bins. And bins are how to contain, like, gems, like small loose items. Gems and trinkets and amulets and mugs and things. Stick them into bins. Alright. Dining area is getting made. Doing a pretty good job. Farming area has not been built yet. And we already have some mugs. And then once we get some pots, we can start brewing. Because you'll see our drinks are going down. I mean, it's not urgent or anything, but we're going to want to manage that. Oh, good. And we also even have some tables. So, here we go. Dining hall is going to be painted. And you might as well include the walls here. Because the walls will eventually be smoothed and will have value. So, like, get every last ounce of value out of your buildings as you can. And it's not fully excavated, so I'm going to have to revisit this dining hall. And repaint it at some point. But, yeah, whatever. That's where we dine. Now, I'm not storing food here yet. So that's going to be something we're going to need to do. We also have tons, so the caravan got broken down, but like the stuff didn't get hauled yet. Mostly because I don't think there's actually physically an area to put it in. So, that is a TBD as well. Alright, there's our dining hall. Nice. Do I have a fair soundtrack to listen to while I'm doing other things? Yeah, actually I do. All right. So, I think the area that I wanted for the kitchen is done. So, farming, kitchen, and we'll drop it here. And I'm going to make it out of jet. So, like, furniture, I'll just be using jet and shale, you know, between the two regularly. Right, checking up on the farm. Still not made. Seeds, still not delivered. Also, max barrels, 0 for the seeds. There we go. Silvo, Joker, SVNCs, and Guero, thank you for the resubs, by the way. Oh, more fighting? Oh, a Wolverine versus a dog. Wolverine's dead. How is the dog? That's a good question. I only see a Wolverine corpse here, so I think it went well. I don't see Wolverine blood. Oh no, there's some dog blood. Which dog was it? It was you. But I don't know what your health is because I don't have a diagnostician to diagnose you. It's funny, it's like they're wounded, but where? I don't know. Yep. Not paid to know that. Not my business. And that is where the still's going to go. So workshop, farming, still, make it out of jet. Thank you for tuning in to Dwarf Fortress, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rodamont.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rodamont.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow dwarves.